So in a previous video, I talked a little bit about my experience with Instagram growth, but then also talked about my current approach and how I'm handling that. And basically the answer to that is for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been using Ascend Viral to grow all of my own accounts, all of my customer accounts. I've recommended them to basically anyone that's asked. And what I thought I'd do in this video and in future videos is talk a little bit more about the broad market. There are many, many different providers out there. They all claim to do amazing things. They all claim to be the best. And so I thought I'd make a series of videos sort of talking about my experience. I'm constantly trying out different platforms and also going back and retrying platforms. You know, providers don't stay the same. Some get better, but some get a lot worse. And so I thought this series might be useful and interesting. And the first provider that I thought I'd talk about or compare to my current setup is Upgrow. Upgrow, by far the provider that A, I see the most, but B, I get asked about the most. They've got, on the surface, a very interesting approach. And so what I thought I'd do in this video is A, talk about what they do, how it differs, B, talk about pricing, C, talk about features in the platform, and then finish with sort of my overall opinion. So in terms of what they do, on the surface, the outcome with both providers, Ascend Viral and Upgrow, is the same. They both claim to provide safe, sustainable growth for your Instagram account. You're essentially paying to, in return, have your Instagram account grow in what they claim is an organic and natural way. So how do they do it? Well, Ascend Viral takes a tried and tested approach. You provide your account information, you share more about who you're looking to reach, what your objectives are, and from there they go and engage with accounts in that community. They build up a presence, they build up a following that snowballs over time into real, safe, sustainable growth. Upgrow take a very different approach. They don't require your account password, so they're not logged into your account, they're not really engaging on behalf of you. And if you look at their website, if you read their documentation, they claim to use AI-powered technology. I have no idea what that is. I have looked into it, I've tried to understand. It's very, very vague, and whenever something is very vague and uses buzzwords like AI, it's a flag for me. You know, I like to know exactly what people are doing, and I think if they're doing something that is trustworthy, they'd be talking about it, right? And when you read into the documentation, they mention things like engagement groups, micro-influencers, paid advertisements, but for the price that you're paying, which is low, and we'll come on to that in a second, I'm relatively skeptical of that. Whenever something is patent pending or patent approved, they've got this advanced AI technology, I always wonder what's going on there and how it actually works. So they take a very different approach, is my point. I'll talk about results and things like that. They take a very different approach, but I just think it's interesting how they're positioning themselves and how that's changed quite recently as well. So in terms of what they both do, they both have different ways of doing it, but ultimately the outcome there, or the claimed outcome, is the same. So in terms of pricing, this is pretty interesting. So on the surface, Upgrow seems quite a bit cheaper. They do a lot of very clever things when it comes to their pricing. They have a constant countdown of a perpetual discount that they claim to have. They have the first month discounted, and that's something that actually caught me out. So you sign up, you're looking at the price on the website, like, this is a good price. You sign up, after the first month, the price goes up pretty significantly. They also claim that you can get started for free, which is present in lots of their marketing copy. Actually, you can get basic access to the platform for free, but you don't get any real growth and results for free. Ascend Viral, on the other hand, is a little bit more expensive on the surface. That's mostly for the first month, just because their pricing's flat and consistent. Once Upgrow's sort of like first month discount expires, they actually become quite comparable in pricing. The big difference here is that Ascend Viral offer a 5-day free trial, which is full access to the platform. So I think that's really beneficial. Like, I think the value in either case, you can access the platform for free. In Ascend's Viral case, you can actually start seeing results and seeing what the service is made of, which I think is really important and definitely brought a lot of trust to me. And people talk about that all the time when I mention it, which I think is really good. So in terms of features, one thing I would say about Upgrow is it's very nicely designed. The platform is very slick, it's beautiful, it's nice to use, which is good and is important. The downside there is that it's missing a few core things that I really wish it had. So if we compare, say, the analytics platforms, Ascend Viral has an analytics platform that I always say could be its own product. Like, I would happily pay money for this as its own individual thing, not tied to the service. And On the flip side, Upgrow have, they have an analytics product. It has some of the core functionality that you'd expect, but it's missing things like the ability to really filter down on your content, which I think is really important. When it comes to content, it's not just about what works, it's about what doesn't. Do less of that, do more of the stuff that works. And Ascend Viral's analytics platform makes it super easy to pinpoint exactly those things. I spend a lot of time filtering content across my accounts by engagement rate and things like this, which I think is super important and helps me elevate the game. When it comes to a growth service, any growth service, it's not just their responsibility to grow your account. It's also down to you to A, understand who you want to target, B, make content that resonates with those people. And so having that built into Ascend Viral, I think is really useful. Upgrow, like I say, it looks nice. It doesn't necessarily have all of the things there. And that's sort of a common theme in the platform. They have quite a lot of educational content, guides and things like that. Ascend Viral have a really detailed course. They have an ebook sort of guide. They have a community, which I think is really, really big and important. So over the years, they've worked with thousands, maybe tens of thousands of businesses and accounts. All of those people are in the community. They're giving suggestions, ideas, feedback, helping you out, talking about other things like how they're monetizing their Instagram account, how they're hiring a team to build content for them. All this sort of stuff I think is super fascinating and massive, massive value. And then overall, beyond that, the onboarding experience is pretty similar between the two. They both ask you to go into, a good amount of detail in terms of who you're looking to reach, really be specific about who you're trying to target so that you can reach the right kind of people. They both provide results. It's not the case that one is a scam or anything like that. In terms of how good the results are, I found the results from Ascend Viral to be more consistent and also higher quality. Just, occasionally scrolling through and seeing the followers that I'm getting there, they seem to be of a higher quality. The engagement rate that I'm getting seems to be higher. And because of that, I understand how the platform works and how the service is provided. I trust that a lot more in the long term. Like I said, I always am a little bit skeptical of anything that is hiding behind being AI powered or anything like that. Like, how does it actually work? Is it safe? I can't say that it's not safe and that it's not real service. I don't know. And that's sort of like my point there, is that I'd rather put my eggs in a basket that I've used for years, I know is safe and everything like that. So overall impressions, I think pricing wise, quite comparable. They take a different approach in terms of the first month being slightly cheaper or more expensive, the free trial and the extent of that they offer. I think Ascend Viral wins on that case. In terms of the product experience itself, Upgrow is a very beautiful product. It's very well designed, but the core functionality is not quite as developed there. And so I really prefer Ascend Viral for that side of things. The community and support is great with both, but I like the sort of forum style community that Ascend Viral has. And then in terms of the overall experience and results, really that's kind of all that matters, is, are you getting safe, sustainable results from these platforms? Often the answer is no. Often they're riddled with excuses of why it doesn't work in your specific case, but it definitely totally works for other people. You get results from both platforms. I've got much better results from Ascend Viral, and really I think that is the main decision factor here. So that's just like a very, very quick introduction to the two platforms. In future videos, I'm going to talk about different providers of Instagram growth services, but also different services as well, like analytics platforms, content-based platforms, and everything like that. So let me know if this lines up with your experience. Maybe you had a particularly good or bad experience with one of the two providers. But B, let me know the types of platforms that you're trying, but also you'd love to try out. I'm happy to have a look at basically any platform. I've tried a bunch. There's loads more that spring up from time to time. So feel free to just sort of let me know what you'd like me to talk about next.